I ask Allah Ta'ala to make this easy for me and for you. So we are going to move up to the Book of Marriage level 2. Then inshallah we finish this, we can move up to the Book of Marriage level 3, bi'idhnillah. So we are still in the text of Abu Shuja. So the text, the metin of Abu Shuja is what's here up top. All of what's over the line at the top of the page. And then the explanation is underneath. This is the explanation of Al-Ghazzi. Sheikh Samir has updated this explanation and improved upon it. But I did not review that. So, though I really prefer to read that one, I'll just read this one for now. So, I'll read the text up top. Whatever is up top here is the amount of the text that's explained on the page. So, I'll read the text up top. That's what we already took. And then I'll start reading the explanation. And so the author, Abu Shuja, rahimahullah, he says, Kitabun Nikah, the book of marriage. وما يتعلق به من الأحكام والقضايا, and whatever is related to it of rules and judgments. Rules and judgments, all sorts of things, divorce, iddah, custody, etc. والنكاح مستحب لمن يحتاج إليه. Marriage is mustahab, recommended, for anyone who needs it. So we'll see details here, inshallah. ويجوز للحر أن يجمع بين أربع حرائر. And it is permissible for a freeman to merge, yani to have at once 4 free women. وللعبد أن يجمع بين اثنتين. And for the slave to merge 2. ولا ينكح الحر أمة ولا ينكح الحر أمة إلا بشرطين. And a freeman does not marry a slave woman, but under 2 conditions. عدم صداق الحرة, the not having the dowry of a free woman, ... So only one of those 2 is mentioned here because they ran out of space on the bottom of the page. Here's the part. عدم صداق الحرة. عدم صداق الحرة. So then on the following page, we'll continue. Here. ... وخوف العنت. And then he explains it here. وخوف العنت. Okay. So the explanation, Kitabu Ahkam Nikah, the book of the rules of marriage, the book of the rules of marriage. What's in the metin? Kitabu Nikah, the book of marriage. So the explainer explains the book of the rules of marriage. وما يتعلق به, and whatever is related to it. Yani, amongst that which is related to it. وفي بعض النسخ وما يتصل به, and in some copies of Abu Shuja it says, and whatever's connected to it. من الأحكام, of rules, والقضايا, and judgments. وهذه الكلمة ساقطة من بعض نسخ المتن. And this word here of rules and judgments is missing from some of the copies of the text of Abu Shuja. So the explainer, he wants to, this one in particular, and others, they want to explain to you the text of Abu Shuja, and they also want to mention for you what's in some copies and not in other copies. So the explanation will be also comparing copies for you. Some explanations don't go into that. They just explain a copy of Abu Shuja and they don't mention any other discrepancy or difference in another copy. He says, وَالنِّكَاحُ يُطْلَقُ لُغَةً عَلَى الضَّمِّ وَالْوَطْءِ وَالْعَقْدِ. So the word nikah linguistically is used to refer to bringing things together. Dam, merging, gathering, collecting. Wal-wata, and also refers to intercourse. Nikah itself. Like in the hadith when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about the menstruating wife, Isna'u kulla shay'in illa nikah. Do anything except nikah. That's wata, intercourse. Wal-aqd. And also the word nikah refers to the contract, so then it's going to mean marriage. So here in the explanation, I can't just translate the word nikah as marriage. In Arabic language, the word nikah means more than just marriage. ويطلق شرعا على عقد مشتمل على الأركان والشروط. And legally, religiously legally, it refers to a contract inclusive of integrals and conditions. So this definition here, legally it refers to a contract inclusive of integrals and conditions. That's not a very strong definition because you can use that for something else other than marriage. Had he added, for example, a contract legalizing intimacy or legalizing intercourse, then would have been closer. وَالنِّكَاحُ مُسْتَحَبٌ لِمَنْ يَحْتَاجُ إِلَيْهِ. And marriage is recommended for anyone who needs it. بِتَوَقَانِ نَفْسِهِ لِلْوَطْءِ. Because of his self being desirous of intercourse. وَيَجِدُ أُهْبَتَهُ. And also, he can afford it. He finds, he has its expense. كَمَهْرٍ وَنَفَقَةٍ. Like a dowry. He can afford to pay her a dowry. وَنَفَقَةٍ. And support for the day, for the first day. That much. Not support for a year. Support for the day. And the clothing of the season on that day. If he can pay her dowry now and give her the clothing of the season now and support her with the other support today, not for the next week or the next month or the next year, then he can afford to get married. He can afford to get married. Writing utensils blocking the screen. Is the screen clear, inshallah? فإن فقد الأهبة لم يستحب النكاح. If he lacks the funds, if he can't afford it, then it is not recommended for him to get married. And affording it here is for the man, not for the woman. For the woman, it's just enough for her to need to get married, for it to be recommended for her. For the man, it is that he needs to get married, meaning he has desire for intimacy and he can afford it. ويجوز للحر أن يجمع بين أربع حرائر فقط. And it is permissible for a freeman to merge 4 free women at once. Only. Only. Not more. You might say only 4. Yeah. Before that, different societies had way more than 4. Islam came and limited it to 4, if you didn't know. Now people, they went the other way in injustice and said you can only marry 1. And then that's why they saw 4 as a lot. Also, this explanation is a small one. So he will not mention many proofs. He will just elaborate on the text mostly, give you some more details. Inshallah, in level 3, we'll see more proofs, hadiths and ayat and some other things. May Allah enable us. Ameen. إلا أن تتعين الواحدة في حقه, unless one wife is his particular case. كنكاح سفيه, like the marriage of a fool. وَنَحْوِهِ, and the like. A fool. Yeah. The safih, he is the one who's barred from his money. That's what's meant here. This safih, this fool here, it means he is barred from his own money. So if he's restricted from his own money, he's restricted in his dealings too, not just money, but in dealings. So this fool, he can only deal with permission of the judge, for example. So then the judge might restrict him to a single wife. وَنَحْوِهِ, and the likes of the fool. So maybe inshallah in another lesson or another level, we'll see who's the likes of the fool. Is it the crazy person that his guardian got him married? Is it a child that his guardian got him married? Allahu a'lam, we'll see. مما يتوقف على الحاجة, someone whose marriage depends on needing to be married, and he can't have more than one. So the fool is the case for you. ويجوز للعبد ولو مدبرا أو متبعضا أو مكاتبا أو معلقا عتقه بصفة أن يجمع بين اثنتين. And it is permissible for a slave, even if he is a slave whose freedom hinges on the death of his master, or he is a part-time slave, or he is a slave who has a deal to purchase his freedom, or he is a slave whose freedom is linked to, hinged, made dependent upon something. So any of these slave men, it is permissible and yajma'a bayna ithnatain, for him to merge between 2 females. A zawjataini faqat, meaning 2 wives only. ولا ينكح الحر أمة لغيره إلا بشرطين. And a freeman does not, yani must not marry a slave woman, someone else's slave woman. And a freeman must not marry someone else's slave woman, but under 2 conditions. Now, when he says someone else's, does that imply that he could marry his own slave woman? Does anyone know the answer? Can he marry his own slave woman? 5, 4, 3.
Marry her.
Sorry?
He can free her and marry her.
He can free her and marry her. And Abdul Qawi said, no, correct. So then why he said someone else's slave woman? Maybe just for clarity. Because it's only going to be someone else's slave woman if he married her. You said she would not be a slave anymore? No. So if a woman were a slave, her master can't marry her. If he did a marriage contract with her, it will just be invalid, and she's still going to be a slave. If she would not be a slave anymore. Nah. Yani, he can marry her if he frees her. He frees her and then marries her, like Had just said, if he wants to marry her. Because you cannot own your wife. And you cannot own your child, and you cannot own your parent. But you could own your sibling, though, or someone else. And a slave, and sometimes could have a slave if he's mukatab, the one who has a contract to purchase his freedom. He's a slave, and he could have a slave. Okay. So, what are these two conditions for him to be able to marry someone else's slave woman? Adamu sadaqi al-hurra, the lack of a free woman's dowry. Yani not having, meaning being unable to pay a free woman's dowry. أو فقد الحرة, or the lack of a free woman altogether. Or no free woman will accept him, will marry him. Oh, yeah, that's what he says there. Oh, عدم رضاها به, or no free woman's acceptance of him. وخوف العنت, and the fear of anat. That's word mentioned in the Quran. How does the explainer explain it? A zina muddat faqti al-hurrah, meaning he fears fornicating while there is no free woman available. The anat. That's one way to explain the anat. That's what the explainer said. Another way to explain the anat is the punishment for fornicating. That's what he fears. Khawful anat. He fears the zina, or he fears the punishment of the zina, for the zina. So if that is present for him, then he has the excuse, both of those conditions. وترك المصنف شرطين آخرين. The explainer says, the author left out two other conditions for a freeman to marry someone's slave woman. Yes, because that's part of what the explainer needs to do. If the author of the original text left out something, then the explainer should catch it. أحدهما ألا يكون تحته حرة مسلمة. One of those extra two conditions is that he doesn't already have a free Muslim wife. أو كتابية, or Jewish or Christian wife. تصلح للاستمتاع, one who is suitable for enjoyment. He doesn't already have a wife that he can enjoy. والثاني إسلام الأمة, and the second condition is that the slave woman is a Muslim. The Islam of the slave woman, التي ينكحها الحر, this slave woman that the freeman marries, she should be a Muslim or Muslimah. فلا يحل لمسلم أمة كتابية, and so unlawful for a Muslim is a Jewish or Christian slave woman to marry. Yani. وإذا نكح الحر أمة بالشروط المذكورة, and when a freeman marries a slave woman under the mentioned conditions, ثم أيسر, وَنَكَحَ حُرَّةً, and then his situation got easier and he could marry a free woman. لم ينفسخ نكاح الأمة, the marriage of the slave woman will not be breached. She will remain his wife. So, mashallah, that's nice build on top of what we took in level one, I think. I was about to use a different explanation than this one, but I thought to myself, we'll take it easy. I think this one is a nice step ahead. Any question?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
When you use the word should, you said the Muslim should marry a slave that's who's a Muslim. Then after that, you should not marry a non-Muslim. I mean, a Jew or a Christian. When I hear the word should, it's like you give me an option.
Well, we are talking now about a person who needs to marry a slave woman. Under this context, he needs to marry a slave woman because he can't marry a slave woman unless he needs to anyway. So he needs to marry a slave woman. He has to have these conditions in place. He can't afford a free woman or get a free woman. Yeah, he can't get a free woman. And he fears zina, and he doesn't already have a wife that he can enjoy. And that this slave woman he's marrying is not a kafirah. So if I said should in there means the condition needs to be there for this to be valid.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so he moves on. Let's see the text here up top. The author says, وَنَظَرُ الرَّجُلِ إِلَى الْمَرْأَةِ عَلَى سَبْعَةِ أَضْرُبٍ. A man's looking at a woman is upon 7 types, yani 7 cases. أحدها نظره إلى أجنبية لغير حاجة إلى أجنبية لغير حاجة. One of them is his looking at a stranger without need. فغير جائز. That is impermissible. So if you remember when we criticized this statement. That he said looking at a stranger without need is impermissible. We said untrue. Looking at a stranger without need, at her face and her hands, without desire, is not haram, even if he doesn't need to look. We'll see what the explainer says. We'll see if he agrees with us or not. والثاني نظره إلى زوجته وأمته. The second is his looking at his wife or his slave woman. فيجوز أن ينظر إلى ما عدا الفرج منهما. He says, then it's permissible for him to look at other than the vagina of either of those. And if you remember, we criticized that too. We said, no, untrue. He can look at that. It's not haram. And also, when we said his slave woman here means unmarried slave woman, as he's going to clarify, he's going to mention the married slave woman. So this one here is the unmarried one. والثالث نظره إلى ذوات محارمه وأمته المزوجة. Continues on the next page. And the third is his looking at the bodies of his forbidden kin or forbidden women, looking at the bodies of his forbidden women. and his married off slave woman. Okay, so it's going to continue on the next page. We'll see. As for the third, so I didn't finish the third case here because it cuts off. Let's see what the explanation has. So he says, وَنَظَرُ الرَّجُلِ إِلَى الْمَرْأَةِ عَلَى سَبْعَةِ أَضْرُبٍ. A man's looking at a woman is upon 7 types, 7 cases. أحدها نظره ولو كان شيخا هرما عاجزا عن الوطأ إلى أجنبية لغير حاجة إلى نظرها. The first of them is for him to look, even if he is an elderly old man. He's senior citizen, very old. Shaykhan Hariman, very old. Ajizan anil wata, unable to perform. Even if this is his case, for him to look at a stranger, female stranger, لغير حاجة, without any need of looking at her. So Abu Shuja says, فغير جائز, that's impermissible. What does the explainer say? He says, فإن كان لنظر الحاجة كشهادة عليها جاز. But if it were looking for a need, like testifying against her, then it's permissible. So he did not uphold what we said here. We're saying this is not true. فغير جائز is not true. It's not impermissible to look at her without a need. It is permissible. That's why you don't take the knowledge just from the books. You take the knowledge from the teachers. By talaqqi. And inshallah, may Allah bless you with good, accurate teachers who sift through the information for you. والثاني نظره أي الرجل إلى زوجته وأمته. And the second is his looking, meaning the man's looking at his wife or his slave woman. فيجوز أن ينظر من كل منهما إلى ما عدا الفرج منهما ما عدا الفرج. Yes. That's why I paused up there. Here. ما عدا الفرج. Then it is permissible for him to look in reference to both of them, look at both of them at other than the vagina. Let's see if the explainer also agreed with us. He says, أما الفرج فيحرم نظره. As for the vagina, it is forbidden to look at it. But then he said, وهذا وجه ضعيف. And this is a weak way. So here he didn't accept what Abu Shuja said. What he did was first he explained his words. Abu Shuja is saying this looking is forbidden. So the explainer elaborated more on what Abu Shuja was saying. It's haram. But then he didn't leave it there. He said, وَهَذَا وَجْهٌ ضَعِيفٌ. But this is a weak way. He's saying this is a saying, and this saying is not strong. وَالْأَصَّحُ جَوَازُ النَّظَرِ إِلَيْهِ. And what's soundest, the soundest position is the permissibility of looking there. لكن مع الكراهة, however, with dislikeness, and that's what we learn. So he agrees with us here. That it's disliked for the man to look at his wife's vagina or slave woman. And Aisha said that she never saw the Prophet's private alayhi salatu wasalam, and he never saw hers. وَالثَّالِثُ نَظَرُهُ إِلَى ذَوَاتِ مَحَارِمِهِ. And the third is his looking at the bodies of his forbidden women. بنسب أو رضاع or رضاع أو مصاهرة. Those women forbidden for him because of lineage, or nursing, or marriage. Those are the in-laws. Marriage. وأمته المزوجة, and his married off slave woman. Looking at the body of his married off slave woman, Muzawaja, married off. Last time when we went over the text of Abu Shuja only, I elaborated here for you. So you say Zawaja, Zawaja, to give in marriage. Zawaja, Zawajahu, he gave to him in marriage. Ibnatahu, Zawajahu ibnatahu, for example. To give in marriage, Zawaja. So the one who gives another in marriage would be called Muzawwij. And the one who was given in marriage would be called Muzawwaj with Fatha. The one who gives in marriage is Muzawwij with Kasra. So this one, Muzawwaj, is the one here. وأمته المزوجة, and his married off slave woman. Yani, maybe he gave her in marriage, or maybe her prior master gave her in marriage. Then she got a new master. فيجوز أن ينظر فيما عدا ما بين الثرة والركبة. Then it is permissible to look at other than what is between the navel and the knee. Then it is permissible to look at other than what is between the navel and the knee. Correct. Not what's between the navel and the knee, other than what's between the navel and the knee. So it means if he saw the breast of one of those, there's no sin. Though had he seen her thighs, like she has short shorts on above her knees, then this would be haram. And this is the reverse of the way of many people. So they would insist that their forbidden women would cover their chests and not insist that they would cover their thighs. أما الذي بينهما فيحرم نظره. As for what's between the navel and the knee, that's forbidden to look at. So his married off slave woman, what can he see? Whatever is not between the navel and the knee. Okay. Let's read up top here. What did Abu Shuja say? فيجوز فيما عدا ما بين السرة والركبة والرابع النظر لأجل النكاح. The fourth is looking for the sake of marriage, yani for being interested. For the sake of marriage means he's interested, even. That's natural. Some people, they say, a man should not approach a woman because she looks attractive to him. Yani, this first thing he's going to do is see her. So I don't know how some people think. فيجوز إلى الوجه والكفين. So then it's permissible at the face and the hands, to look at the face and the hands. So that's what he said. What do we say here? Also, we criticize this statement because we say this is not a condition. It is permissible to look at her face and her hands without the condition here. وَالْخَامِسُ النَّظَرُ لِلْمُدَاوَاةِ. The fifth is looking for treatment. فيجوز إلى المواضع التي يحتاج إليها. Then it is permissible to look at the spots that he needs to look at. والسادس النظر للشهادة أو للمعاملة. And the sixth is looking for testimony or for dealing. فيجوز النظر إلى الوجه خاصة. Then it would be permissible to look at the face in particular. Also, this statement we criticize, Yani, in the first place. Yeah, we criticize this statement too. Excuse me. But this is still a classical work, and you're going to convey the classical work as it came. And if you have some commentary for something that's there, then you give the commentary without perverting the text. So he says, وَالرَّابِعُ النَّظَرُ إِلَى الْأَجْنَبِيَّةِ لِأَجْلِ حَاجَةِ النِّكَاحِ. The fourth is looking at the stranger for the sake of marriage, for the sake of, yani, because of the need of marriage. فيجوز للشخص عند عزمه على نكاح امرأة النظر إلى الوجه والكفين. He says, it is permissible then, when he has decided that he's going to marry a woman, to look at her face and her hands. So I'm not sure what they understand here. Because he decided to marry her before he ever even looked at her or maybe even talked to her, for example. Or he talked to her, he never saw her before. Which is possible. That's not impossible.
In all cases, for a slave woman, her nakedness is beyond her navel and the knee, right?
Who?
Not the free woman.
The free woman?
Yeah, the aura is different, right?
The aura of a free woman with whom?
With a slave woman.
A free woman with a slave woman? I haven't heard that there's an issue between a free woman and a slave woman.
Well,
you mean that the aura of the free woman is different from the aura of the slave woman?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, correct. I thought you meant if they are together, seeing each other.
No. So why he was saying except this and that, this is not clear? I couldn't register. I was about to.
Yeah, because we have two cases of slave women here.
Mm-hmm.
Married slave woman and unmarried slave woman. So married slave woman, what can he see? Everything except what's between navel and knees because she has a husband.
Yes.
Unmarried slave woman, he can see all of her body.
All of her body except?
Unmarried slave woman is like a wife. He can see all of her body.
Yes, that I agree. But if it is not married slave woman, if he's not married here, he can see only that is forbidden to see between her navel and knee, correct?
No. If it's his own slave woman and she's not married, then she's lawful for him. He can see all of her body.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan.
Ameen wa iyyakum. So he says, فيجوز للشخص عند عزمه على نكاح امرأة النظر إلى الوجه والكفين منهما ظاهرا وباطنا. Then it will be permissible for a person when he has decided to marry a woman. So this part, I'm not sure. Yani, in the first place, we don't agree with this case. But when he says, when he has decided to marry a woman, what does he mean by that? Did he decide to marry a woman who didn't agree that she's going to marry him, for example? So I don't know if there's some details in his intent here, but in the rule anyway, we're not agreeing with. عند عزمه على نكاح امرأة النظر إلى الوجه والكفين. When he has decided to marry a woman, to look, it would be permissible for him to look at her face and her hands. That's what he said. And what Abu Shuja said. منها ظاهرا وباطنا, front and back. And what do we say? We say this is not a condition. He can look at her face and her hands, whether he was interested in marrying her or not, without desire, though. وَإِن لَمْ تَأْذَنْ لَهُ الزَّوْجَةُ فِي ذَلِكَ, even if the wife did not permit him to do so. The Zawja means the woman here. Even if this woman that he wants to marry, he called her Zawja here. Even if this woman he wants to marry didn't permit him, she didn't approve, still he can look. That's what he's saying, according to this saying that he's going by. وينظر من الأمة على ترجيح النووي عند فصل خطوبتها ما ينظره من الحرة. This part here I will not try to explain. والخامس النظر للمداواة. The fifth is looking for treatment. فيجوز نظر الطبيب من الأجنبية إلى المواضع التي يحتاج إليها في المداواة. So it's permissible for the doctor to look at the stranger at the spots that he needs to look at for treatment. حتى مداواة الفرج, even treating the vagina. ويكون ذلك بحضور محرم أو زوج أو سيد, and that would be in the presence of a forbidden man, a man forbidden for this woman, like her brother or something, her father, or a husband, or a master. And even all of that's not a condition. There just needs to be a third person, a valid third person. And remember, as we mentioned last time, this talk right here about the presence of the third person is different from the actual point. The actual point is looking, not privacy. And so, what's being discussed here in terms of the point raised by the author is looking at this woman to treat her. Privacy is a whole nother matter. Yani, privacy is another matter whether you talk about treatment or not. So the looking issue is here about treatment. And then the explainer added an extra benefit here, and also there cannot be privacy. وَأَلَّا تَكُونَ هُنَاكَ امْرَأَةٌ تُعَالِجُهَا, and it's a condition that there is not a woman who can treat her, but that is, there's details there. Because it's not obligatory to turn down a more proficient doctor for his gender, his or her gender. If you had a more proficient doctor than another, then you may go with the more proficient doctor, even if it has different gender. But let's say two doctors of the same level, then she'll go to the female. وَالسَّادِسُ النَّظَرُ لِلشَّهَادَةِ عَلَيْهَا, and the sixth is looking for testifying against her. عليها, against her. فينظر الشاهد فرجها عند شهادته بزناها أو ولادتها. So then the witness would look at her vagina when testifying about her committing zina or giving birth. Yani. Now the way this sentence is, as if he's saying the witness will look when he's testifying. And as if he means the witness will look at the time that there is looking and then testify. Like he was in the cab and she started giving birth and he had to look and he saw her vagina. And then, yani, maybe he helped her deliver the baby. And then later he had to testify that she delivered a baby and that he saw her vagina. So then he would testify. So here, this looking is not haram. فإن تعمد النظر لغير شهادة فسق. If he looked for not for testimony, if he looked not for testimony, what did Al-Ghazzi say here? He said fasaqa, he committed a major sin. This we'll check it. We'll see. Maybe Sheikh Samir has comment here. وَرُدَّتْ شَهَادَتُهُ, and his testimony would be rejected. Subhanallah. We read this Sharh of Al-Ghazzi. Yani, our sheikhs read the Sharh of Al-Ghazzi, this one here, for years and a lot, and gave it to many, many, many students. Still, there's so much knowledge, and as we got more and more knowledge, then became clear for us imprecise statements that we might have even taken. Maybe at the time when we took a book, something didn't appear to us. Either we didn't know, or maybe the sheikh at the time didn't say something, or something. When I took this, I didn't take any commentary here, but now I'm reading it with you. Fasaqa, he made major sin, so I have a choice here. I can just read it like I read it with you and just keep reading. Like I can read it with you like I read it and just keep reading. And don't say anything because nothing was said when I took it. But yeah, I don't know actually though. Is that actually, when I took that, was that something that should have been a point drawn to? He intentionally looked as a major sin? We'll see, inshallah. أو النظر للمعاملة أو النظر للمعاملة للمرأة في بيع وغيره. He says, or looking for dealing with a woman in a sale or something else. فيجوز النظر أي نظره لها. Then it's going to be permissible to look at her. And like we already said, this is not a condition. وقوله إلى الوجه منها خاصة يرجع للشهادة والمعاملة. And when Abu Shuja said he can only look at her face in particular, it goes back to the testimony and the dealing. Yani, so as they say, fihi ma fihi. This statement has its issues. Wallahu alam. We'll stop there for tonight. Alhamdulillah. Found that pretty smooth. MashaAllah. Do you have any question I can answer for you? Question. His looking is to witness the delivery related to unlawful pregnancy. Well, in the text of Abu Shuja, he says to testify against her. But I don't know if that's a condition. In the first place, even if we remove the issue of testimony here, and maybe he needs to help her in the scenario I gave you. If she's delivering a baby in the cab, the baby's coming out right now. You see, you said, I mean, the delivery matter, is it related to zina accusation? In terms of what the author and the explainer are saying, yes. But in terms of the rule about if you can look or not look, not about what the author and the explainer are saying, then it doesn't have to be even there. Doesn't have to reach there. Yani, if he had an excuse, he will look. What he will do, he will yalbitu nafsahu, and he will summon his maturity and his God-fearingness, and then just look what needs to be looked, and then don't look anymore.